the first 3 months of this year, 2026, American homeowners pulled $47 billion in equity out of their homes. One quarter, $47 billion. That's the highest first quarter number since 2021. And if you own a home right now, you are very likely sitting on more equity than you think. So the question isn't whether you can get to it. You probably can. The question is whether you should. And that is a completely different question. Here's the part no one tells you. A lot of people are about to make this decision based on the wrong information. Your home is not a checking account. It just happens to look like one right now. So today I'm going to walk you through what's actually happening and the 3 ways people are tapping into equity and what each one really costs. I'm Sir Ashley. I work with buyers, sellers, and investors across both North and South Carolina every single day. I watch people build real wealth through real estate, and I've also watched people quietly drain it, one line of credit at a time, and not notice it until it was too late. Now, I'm not here to tell you what you should do with your money or your property. I'm here to make sure you know what you're actually doing before you do it. Let's start with the numbers, because they matter. According to the latest data from the Intercontinental Exchange, the company that tracks mortgage activity nationwide, homeowners tapped into an estimated $47 billion in equity in the first quarter of 2026. And that's just the sliver of the whole. There's an estimated $11 trillion in tappable home equity sitting across the country right now. That number isn't an accident. The boom from 2020 through 2022 created a level of paper wealth in housing that is genuinely historic. So if you bought in that window or before it, there's a good chance you're sitting on 6 figures that didn't exist 4 years ago. So here's the question that explains everything. If people are sitting on all this equity, why are they borrowing against it instead of just refinancing? One reason, rates. Most people who bought or refinanced in 2020 through 2022 are holding mortgages in the 2, 3, or 4% range. Today's rates are well above 6.5%. Actually, I think right now it's 6.42 today as I film this. So a full cash out refinance means giving up that 3.5% interest rate just to reach your own money. That's a trade most people are not willing to make. So instead, they're layering a second loan on top, keeping that cheap first mortgage exactly where it is. Take a look at a client of mine over in the Plaza Midwood area of Charlotte. They bought a home in 2021 and secured a clean 3.25% interest rate. By this year, their home value skyrocketed, giving them over $200,000 in equity. They wanted to do a major kitchen remodel, which cost about $65,000. And if they had done a traditional cash out refinance, they would have been forced to reset their entire $400,000 mortgage to today's 6.4% rate. That would have added hundreds of dollars to their monthly payment just to get $65,000 in cash. So instead, they left that mortgage, that 3.25% first, alone and took a second lien just for the renovation costs. In concept, that's a reasonable move. The execution is where it gets interesting. Stick around because this is where it matters. There are 3 ways to get to your equity. Most people treat them like they're the same thing. They're not. Option 1, the cash out refinance. You replace your current mortgage with a new, bigger one and take the difference in cash. One loan, one payment, often a fixed rate. The catch in today's market is if you're holding a rate from 2020 to 2022, you're trading gold for silver. Some people doing this already had higher rates from 23 or later, so they had little to lose. But plenty are giving up genuinely cheap money to do it. Add closing costs to 2 to 5% on that new loan, plus a full trip back through underwriting, which is not painless. Option 2, the home equity loan. This is a second mortgage. Your first loan stays exactly where it is, and you borrow a lump sum at a fixed rate. Right now, the average on a 5-year home equity loan is right around 8%. Now it's fixed, it's predictable, and it's clean, but you're borrowing at 8%. So whatever you do with that money had better earn its keep. And then there's option 3, the HELOC. Now, in the first quarter of 2026, this was the most popular option. And even presently, it's the most popular option by far. Think of the HELOC as a credit card secured by your home. There's a draw period, usually 5 to 10 years, where you pull what you need and often only pay interest only. Then the repayment period starts and the payments starts to climb, sometimes drastically. Current average on a $30,000 HELOC is in the mid sevens. Now it is variable and it moves with the market. The appeal of a HELOC is its flexibility. The risk of a HELOC is complacency, because paying interest only on a line of credit for 10 years while the balance just sits there is one of the most effective ways ever invented to spend money without ever feeling like you're spending money. Let me show you how this plays out in the real world with 2 clients that I helped in the greater Charlotte area. Same tool, same HELOC, but 2 completely different outcomes. Now, client A used the HELOC to consolidate $40,000 of high interest credit card debt that was sitting at a brutal 24%. Now, by moving that debt into a HELOC at 7.5%, that client saved over $500 a month in interest and paid off the principal aggressively. They used the tool, the HELOC, productively. Now take a look at client B. They took out a similar HELOC for about $45,000, but they used it for lifestyle upgrades. They did some minor landscaping outside the home. They bought some high-end furniture and took a couple trips. Now, I'm all for enjoying life, and sometimes you need to take a trip. But because this HELOC was at interest only during the draw period, that client only paid $250 a month and thought nothing of it. But 5 years later, the balance hadn't dropped by a single dollar, and market rates ticked up. And suddenly they were forced into a repayment period with a monthly payment that nearly tripled. The tool, the HELOC, didn't change. The use of it, the discipline, did. Now for the part that actually matters. Let's slow this down for a second. Equity is not free money. I know it may feel like it at times, but you didn't do anything. The market just went up, and now your house is worth $50,000 more dollars than it was in 2020. So it feels like money you found in an old coat or an old pair of pants. But that equity is your position. It's the buffer between you and being underwater on your home. It's your exit options. Every dollar you pull out is a dollar you now pay interest on, with your home as collateral. Here's how I think about it. One clean line. It makes sense when the equity strengthens your position. Improvements to the property itself, wiping out high interest debt that's costing you more than the loan does, putting that equity into something with clear, measurable returns. Now, it does not make sense to me when the purpose is consumption, the vacation, the renovation that doesn't add any real value to the property. A certified financial planner said it better than I could in a recent CNBC piece. He warned that you can end up paying years of interest on a single summer vacation. Sit with that. A week in Cancun, financed against your house, paid back over 15 years at 8%. Now that is one very expensive vacation. It's one very expensive tan. It's one very expensive margarita. And one more thing before you do any of this. Make sure the payment fits comfortably in your monthly budget. Not barely, not if everything goes right. I need you to make sure that that payment sits comfortably in your monthly budget, because your home is the collateral. This isn't a credit card you can close and walk away from. If something goes sideways, the stakes are real. The math is easy. The discipline is the hard part. So quick recap. $47 billion in equity came out in the single quarter in 2026. There are 3 ways to reach yours, and they cost very different things. The only question that matters before you touch it is why, and whether that why is worth the price. And look, if you're someone who's going to pull equity for a vacation and sleep just fine, this video probably frustrated you, and I'm okay with that. We're allowed to disagree on this one. But if you're trying to make a decision your future self actually thanks you for, you're exactly who I made this video for. Now, 2 things before I go. First, I'm curious. Drop a comment and tell me what you'll actually use the equity in your home for if you decided to tap into it. I read every comment and the answers shape what I cover next. And second, if you're weighing this inside a bigger real estate decision, whether that's buying, moving, or repositioning what you already own, that's exactly the kind of thing I help people through every single day. When you're ready to look at your real numbers with someone who will tell you the truth, the link is in the description. Free, 20 minutes, no pitch. I'm Sir Ashley, your real estate advisor, licensed in both North and South Carolina. Talk soon.